We're seeing now Beit Hashem Yisbarach Daf Chof Aleph Avodah Zarah. Hishtachva lebeitza. If he bowed for an egg, Chizkiah Omar loy asara, v'yechan Omar asara. It's a b'chleikas if you can a chicken laid an egg, you didn't touch it, and it's on the same place where it was put. Is this similar to somebody bowing down to a mountain or to an animal, like a natural thing, or do we say that it's considered like you bowing down to a piece of wood that you carved? They're actually arguing by a real egg. Chavraya Omran said it different. They're not really talking about an egg. They're talking about stones, big round stones that are found in a next to a river. The Kari lay Beitza. It's just called Beitza in a metaphoric way. It looks like an egg. Omer Avuna, Kram Sai Lamanda Om Marchavere, Bechelkai Nachal Chelkech, Heim Garalich. The Novi says there that the Yidden are busy with these stones of the stream, and it's talking there regarding to Avodah Zarah. So we see that it used to be a minik to worship these natural stones. Where's the proof from Chizkim? That's why he holds that an egg is osir. Because an egg is also a thing that Chizkiah says that it's osir. I'm sorry, Chizkiah says it's not osir. Because the person didn't do anything. Just the chicken laid the egg, and the guy didn't do anything, that's why the egg does not become osir. If a person bows down to chitim, I wrote here Zareh chitim Shem Avodah Zarah, but it doesn't have to be like that. I would say rather Ishtachva lechitim. That's more proper. Ishtachva lechitim. A person bows down to chitim. Why? Because the Gemara says the Marv by Yasser b'Shem Yehuda Shosh Chita Boikim ba'aretz Chamishim Amma Shosh Te'enim Rakim Boikim b'Tur. When a person plants a chita, it really activates the ground. So it's considered Tfisas Yad Adam. He says here that you should know when Hashem sends rain, it only goes in the most upper layer of the ground. Just every second they have to give it a drink because it only goes to the top layer of the ground. These are very deep roots. This is just like a side note of a drish that comes into this sugya, how things work, how things grow. I'll go back to our main subject. How about a person took a walnut from an arlet tree or an egg of Avodah Zarah that turned into a chicken? Reb Chaga says the name of Oishia is Palgan Kahana v'Chizkiah. Kahana Omer Materes v'Chizkiah Omer Asura. It's a question if you're allowed to derive benefit from this chicken or from this arlet tree. You want to ask a question. How can you happen such a thing? Didn't we just say that the egg never becomes usher? So why are you telling me that a person took an egg of Avodah Zarah, became a chicken, the egg isn't usher b'chlal? Never becomes usher. If he gave it a smash with his hand, l'shem Avodah Zarah, and it could have froich, then no chicken can happen. Once you smash it, there's no chicken can come out. Let's say he took the egg and he put it in that curtain. We saw before there's a certain curtain around the idol. And he put that egg there for a certain respect for the god. That cannot be either the case. if it's an interesting logic, this Gemara. He says, if it cannot become usher, even if you bow down to it, how can it become usher if you put it inside that gate? It's hard to understand the question. Maybe he did something with it, but the Gemara thought it cannot happen that it should become usher. So Gemara is going to answer, he used it as a fence. Interesting story. He put it like egg fenced around the Avodah Zarah, and that is considered that he did a maisa for the Avodah Zarah with it. But if you just put it inside the gate, it's not considered a maisa. It cannot be better, or actually worse, than ishtachva. That's what the Gemara thought. That's a svara, that it cannot have more isur on this egg than ishtachva. Basis hegdish nasis afroich. What happens if a certain person gave away for hegdish a chicken, and that chicken laid an egg, and that egg turned into a chicken? Rabbi Yaseh is palgen kahana Rabbi Yochanan. Kahana masur, Rabbi Yochanan meteres. It's machlekes if that chicken is considered hegdish or not. Rabbi Zeira kumer Rabbi Yaseh v'omem Rabbi meteres afi en poida zman zara. Rebbe means my Rebbe. That's Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says meteres. Does it mean he doesn't even have to give the value of an egg? Let's say an egg costs 25 cents. How can he say that he doesn't have to give a hegdish that value? For sure, he has to give at least the amount of that seed. Here it means the egg. When he planted it, was worth 25 cents. He has to pay for hegdish that amount. But this is still not good, because this is kahana, and kahana said it's aser. So that means something a bigger level than that. So he said the right version of this memory. Kahana masura means he has to give the full value of the chicken. The chicken is worth, let's say, $5. He says that it's enough if you give the 25 cents. But nobody says that you don't have to give anything. For sure, you have to give at least the value of an egg. Omer Akiva. So the Mishnah says, Akiva said, Ani eya oivin lefonecha. Oivin, with a nun. Man antenin oivin is tane oivil, with a lamed. Man damar oivin novain. It means like understanding. Man damar oivil navel. It's an Aramaic word for discussing something. Toner aburke kimi rabmana. Malamet shlei nicha kanainim loi har v'loi give shlei avdu olav. So I see from this Mishnah, Hashem says that Abei ta'abnes kolam koimish avdu sham agoyim esaleiheim alahorim agvoy v'alagvoyes v'sachas kleitzrano. It means every mountain and every valley they worshipped. Loy kein Sabrina Meimen do shesh biruchaim apish ein asel geit asel gevoye. Und was im khuba apish ein asel geit asel gevoye bis abkhir eigen nivna. Interesting question. Where asked, if so, let's say it's also for us to have a derived benefit from these mountains, but we say that for Beis HaMikdash, just like you cannot bring a carbon if you bow down for an animal, how can you use that mountain to build the Beis HaMikdash? After the Gemara, where answers up Novi. Novi said this particular place was not worshipped yet. So that's why they could build the Beis HaMikdash there. Talk the Mishnah weiter, Halacha Vav. Mi shoye beisoi Somuch leveis Avodah Zarah v'nofal, and then the house fell down. Also levnois ketzed yaisa koines doch shloi boina. He's not allowed to do anything that this house of worship should get any benefit. So if his wall fell down, he's building it again, means he's going to give the Avodah Zarah something. So he cannot build it up. He has to move his wall and make sure that Avodah Zarah doesn't get any hana from his wall. Hoy shalav shel Avodah Zarah, yidn mechze lemechze. So this is the Mishnah here is not so clear what it means. What means mechze lemechze here? So it seems, the way Rashi explains it, so let's say the wall belonged for him and for the Avodah Zarah. Let's say it was a wall that was 8 feet thick. Used to have in the olden times very thick walls. So then we say that he's supposed to he cannot build next to the property of Avodah Zarah. So it means he has to start counting 4 amas away from his lot line, from where the Mishnah is saying where is the part that he owns. From that part, he should go 4 amas inside. Half of it is Avodah Zarah's, and half of it is his property. So he has to make sure to make the wall 4 amas away from his half, from his 4 feet. It sounds very. The Mishnah doesn't say Daled Amas and doesn't say what, so it's not so clear what this means. Yidn mechze lemechze. I'll leave it open because Avona ve'etzav afora metame b'Sheretz. Shnema shakas tishaktzenu. Ki v'oim kenida shnema tijdim k'mei dovet tzeitom le'ma. Nida tame b'masa v'edzor tame b'masa. So they're arguing around this house of Avodah Zarah that fell down and has stones and pieces of wood and mud or cement. What kind of tumah do they have? Do they carry with them? Rabbi Akiva says like a nida. A nida means that she is tumah even if you carry it, even if you don't touch it. If you carry, the Mishnah explains there in Zavim, but here in this case it means specifically, let's say a guy holds a bag and inside there is a stone, so he becomes tummy. And Sheretz, the din of Sheretz is only if you actually touch it, not if you carry it. That's what Chacham say, just like a Sheretz. So the Gemara, Ksif te'eva benida, Ksif te'eva b'shiratzim, Ksif te'eva Avodah Zarah. It says in these 3 places the Torah says the word te'eva. Benida, it says kikola sheyas mekol te'evas. B'shiratzim lesoichel kol te'eva. Avodah Zarah so it's te'eva b'secha. Any day le'eze dover huksha. To which kind of te'eva is the Avodah Zarah huksha? Akiva oim. So they argue around. Tanakama says like this. Akiva says the nida. It sounds like a nida that's metame b'masa. Ma nida metame b'masa. For Avodah Zarah metame b'masa. Oy ma nida metame al gabe even mesame. Af Avodah Zarah metame be'even mesame. So there's a din by a nida that even if she sits on a stone, and underneath that stone there is some kind of clothing, that clothes becomes tamei. But how about Avodah Zarah? If you put Avodah Zarah on a stone and something's underneath that stone, does it also become tamei? No, not. So the Gemara is asking, if you make a hakish to a nida, maybe it should be the din by Avodah Zarah also. The Gemara doesn't answer. So the Gemara just says, we know for a fact it's not so. Rabbi Ziki b'shem Chanina is the Omer la b'shem Chizda moide b'kivi lachom she'enu v'den tamei b'sama. The Gemara doesn't answer. The Gemara just says the fact that this is a question. If you say it's a huksha le nida, why should it be different than a nida regarding ev masama? Rabban Amru se'eva shebeshiratzim huksha ma sheretz v'tama beheset. Now here the word heset means touching. Doesn't mean heset. Means like you touch something and you also move it, but that's not relevant here. It means you touch. Sheretz is tummy if you touch that sheretz. Avodah Zarah tama beheset. If it's only a tiny piece of Avodah Zarah, like a lentil size, you also become tamei, or do you need a size of an olive? So it's not so. It's only metama if it's a shear of a zayis. Ima mes matame, mishayachnes rosha etz ba'oisav. Yachal af Avodah Zarah, mishayachnes rosha etz ba'oisav. It means that by a mace, if a guy walked in a house that is a dead body, even if you only put in his finger, he becomes tummy. How about a base of Avodah Zarah? If you only put in your finger, you don't become tummy. You have to go in Rosh Hashanah. So Gemara says, netitza going based on nuga. Ma based on nuga mishayachas Rosh Hashanah. Only if you go in most of your body, then you come tummy. In a base that has a nega. Avodah Zarah mishayachas Rosh Hashanah. So this is the Gemara says each one that you have a different hakish to teach you otherwise. Now here, in this Gemara here, it doesn't say that the answer for this question, and the answer should be that you learn it out from a mace. V'choser kan ha-teshuva, the hukish le-mace. U-mace einoi Mutame be'even mesoma. That should be here the answer for this question. Okay, this is the end of Daf Chof Aleph.